From the Tanglewood Wellness Center in Costa Rica, and I've been asked this morning to talk a little bit about having fasted here with guidance for 37 days and coming up on 21 days over there. And all around us we've had anywhere, I guess, from 21 up to 40, 42 days. How now can one go and safely fast at home? You know, every expert who's ever written about fasting from time immemorial has always said the same thing, and that is fasting more than a week without experienced supervision is just not a good idea. And as tempting as it may be to fast on your own, frankly, I wouldn't encourage it. As tempting as it may be to fast on your own, having had this experience, frankly, I wouldn't encourage it. Some of you would probably be okay. I mean, the fact is that the vast majority of people are not going to be in any danger because it's a natural process that your body is typically regulating. The problem is that if you don't really understand what's going on, then it can be very difficult to know whether it's okay or not okay, difficult, therefore, to be able to relax completely. I'll never forget a client I had years ago who decided he was going to fast on his own, and fortunately he lived only an hour away from me. And he called me up one day, and he was about a week into his fast, and he was terrified because he had all kinds of symptoms going on, and he wasn't sure if it was okay or not. And so I got in my car with my bag, and I drove over to his house. I walked in his bedroom, and he's lying on his bed like this. So truly, truly terrified, petrified with fear. And as you guys know, the whole point of the process is to do what? Rest as much as possible. How much resting do you think he was doing? So it's really important to be in an environment where you can relax because you believe you're okay. You believe you're being looked after, and you know that you're okay, and that's very difficult for most people to accomplish. I mean, there are people who can do that on their own because they have a false sense of what they understand and don't understand. But I don't think it would be wise. To be honest with you, I'm asked all the time. I have a guy now that wants me to send him, well, just tell me exactly what to look for. I can't do that. And the problem with that is that it's not like, okay, well, if your systolic pressure goes above or below these numbers, then it doesn't work that way. It's about interpreting a whole lot of different information, including what you look like and how you sound and what's going on for you, what you've been experiencing, and what these numbers are. And that's interpreting them based on a lot of experience. So it's not something, personally, I wouldn't trust an MD to do this because they don't have any experience of fasting. So it's not okay to understand what normal physiology is. It's important to understand what happens when you fast and how is that interacting, how does that show up. To be honest with you, I mean, I certainly understand, you would like to save $4,000 next time, do it at home. I completely appreciate that. My experience with many clients is that it's rarely a good experience for them, and even more rarely a particularly beneficial one. Most people get so much more benefit by being in an environment like this one that, I think I would say make the investment in yourself. Find a place. It doesn't have to be Tanglewood. There are 4 other real fasting centers in the world. Find one that you resonate with, if it's not this one, and get yourself there. And it may seem like a lot of money, but it's a relatively small investment when you consider the value of your health and the money you'll save. I mean, most of you will, in the next year or two, will probably save as much as it costs you to be here in personal care products, and anyone who's been using supplements or needing any kind of medical care, you won't need any of that. You're going to save yourself a lot of money. And going forward, you're young, so you're 23, 24 now?
24 now.
Happy birthday again. You could easily be around for another 100 years. I mean, the value to you, I'm serious, the value to you of what you're going to get from this, I would say invest in yourself, consider it an investment. You get so much more from doing it this way that I just don't think it makes sense for most people to do it any other way. If you can't, someone who can't get here, then as you know, I offer supervision via Skype, which is considerably less expensive than coming here, although not as much less as some people would think. And that's because I actually spend more time with each person. We talk every day, but I've got, over the last 2 months, on average, we've had 10 or 12 people here. Well, I do the same thing every day on the phone, 4 or 5 times a day, but I'm talking to one person at a time. It's not a very efficient use of my time, and so it costs more because my time is so limited. So, but you can save. You don't have to travel. It costs less per week. That's one way to do it. And use this as an incentive. I mean, I know there are people out there. I have clients who maybe the money's not an issue, and they think they'll go home and they'll do whatever they do, and they can always come back and fast again. And they kind of use fasting as a way to correct their mistakes. And I don't think that's really a particularly useful way to think about this. If you're thinking to yourself, it doesn't really matter what I do, I can always go back and fast again, then you're not likely to make the best choices. If you're thinking, okay, this is a tool to help me get my body as clean and well-functioning as possible, so I can then go home and maintain that and improve on it, but then you understand you're only going to need to fast 2 or 3 more times in your whole life if you make excellent choices. All right, so 23 years old, living on 100 years, that's once every 25 or 30 years, if you averaged it. Don't wait that long. But honestly, I mean, it's a relatively small occurrence. It's not something that you're going to have to keep doing all the time. If you do, then you're making some mistakes, right? Honestly, most of you come back and fast again, or go somewhere and fast. Fast again in 1 to 2 years, and then do it a couple more times. As long as you're making excellent choices, you will get to the point within a few years you really won't need to do it again. You will feel and function better than most people ever imagined was possible on a consistent basis, as long as you make the best choices. I mean, ultimately it's all up to us and what we do, and it's important to understand this is not magic. This is giving the incredible body a chance to cleanse and reset itself. But if you go home and make poor choices again, ultimately you wind up in the same place. So you're kind of wasting your time and money if you're doing that. Hopefully each of you is going to take the investment in time and money that you've already made in yourself, or that someone's made in you if you haven't done it yourself, and make as much, get as much benefit from that as possible. You can do that. You can take this and get so much benefit that if you had to put a value on what you received, I think you'd find it would be way beyond what you'd paid. So that would be my advice. Probably not what you wanted to hear.